Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Tonight we present to you the voice of our Emirates International School speaker, TEDx.
Write me down in history and you'll understand more about it as the night goes by.
But before we start off the show, can we please watch the performance video of our backstage performance?
So imagine you're standing on a street anywhere in America, and a Japanese man comes up to you and says, excuse me, what is the name of this block? And you say, I'm sorry, well, this is Oak Street, that's Elm Street. This is 26th, that's 27th. He says, okay, but what is the name of that block? You say, well, blocks don't have names. Streets have names. Blocks are just the unnamed spaces in between streets. He leaves a little confused and disappointed. So now imagine you're standing on a street anywhere in Japan. You turn to a person next to you and say, excuse me, what is the name of this street? And they say, oh, well, that's block 17 and this is block 16. And you say, okay, but what is the name of this street? And they say, well, streets don't have names. Blocks have names. Just look at Google Maps here. There's block 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All of these blocks have names, and the streets are just the unnamed spaces in between the blocks. And you say, okay, then how do you know your home address? I said, well, easy. This is District 8. There's block 17, house number 1. You say, okay, but walking around the neighborhood, I noticed that the house numbers don't go in order. He said, of course they do. They go in the order in which they were built. The first house ever built on a block is house number 1. The second house ever built is house number 2. Third is house number 3. It's easy. It's obvious. So I love that sometimes we need to go to the opposite side of the world to realize assumptions we didn't even know we had and realize that the opposite of them may also be true. So for example, there are doctors in China who believe that it's their job to keep you healthy. So any month you are healthy, you pay them. And when you're sick, you don't have to pay them because they failed at their job. They get rich when you're healthy, not sick. In most music, we think of the 1 as the downbeat, the beginning of the musical phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. But in West African music, the 1 is thought of as the end of the phrase, like the period at the end of a sentence. So you can hear it not just in the phrasing, but the way they count off their music. 2, 3, 4, 1. And this map is also accurate. There's a saying that whatever true thing you can say about India, the opposite is also true. So let's never forget, whether at TED or anywhere else, that whatever brilliant ideas you have or hear, that the opposite may also be true. Domo arigatou gozaimashita.
Ain't shady, baby, I'm hot like the prodigal son.
Before we start with the students giving out their speeches, can we please welcome the manager and organizer of this year's event, Yasmin Gubara.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TEDxYouth at EISJ 2017. The theme of tonight's event is Write Me Down in History. So, in society today, you have a vast amount of people with a diverse set of ideas and opinions. An opinion is to do with a person's belief and moral standpoint. Throughout centuries, people's opinions have changed the world's perspectives of things. And to me, that is a very important factor in society. The impact of different opinions, ideas, and interpretations of things change, clash with, or inspire other people's minds. It is important to be open to other people's opinions, but you do not always necessarily have to agree with them. I chose the theme Write Me Down in History due to the fact that when we look at perspectives as humans, we tend to often think of our own, or only the ones that align to the beliefs that we hold. In today's event, we will discuss how the impact of opinions are so powerful, and how that it is due to opinions that the world either blossoms and improves or backtracks. Each of the performers will express ideas today worth spreading, whether it be a perspective on life, whether it be a perspective on life. I'm sorry, everyone. Today has been a really, really harsh and hectic day. We've gone through a lot. But whether it be a perspective on life, a passing thought, or a strong concept that they stand by and believe in. I'm hoping that the ideas that are expressed with you today are impactful, mind-changing, and informative. If it has an effect on the audience, then it is worthy of being heard. And if it changes people for the better, then it is worthy of being known, recognized, and written down, just as the people that have been portrayed in history. This theme not only gives us the opportunity to explore the great individuals and events that have changed the hearts and minds of the people, but it also gives the performers the opportunity to share their mark and give their mark on the audience. Each of the performers today will share unique ideas with you. So, without further ado, I'm proud to present the 5th annual TEDxYouth at EISJ. Thank you very much.
Let's now start with the main parts of tonight and the hopes of making a difference in your life.
I would like to welcome our first speaker of tonight, Dana Bazadi, and she'll be speaking to us about her dream. Good luck.
Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, and so do I. Past, present, and future. We study the past, condemn the present, and hope for the future. They say that we are repeating history, and it's a reality that we are stuck. We are stuck in a cycle of corrupt leadership, broken dreams, starving children, and can't get out of it. Our age textbooks written in the late 90s seems as though we are reading the same news stories of today, but with different names. We are like a student the night before an assignment is due, plagiarizing ourselves in hopes that no one notices, but we notice. Yes, I notice. I notice how wars are still going on, United Nations propositions are failing, and genocides are occurring. I notice how mothers and fathers are crying over the deaths of their children, and children are crying over the deaths of their mothers and fathers. I notice how war tears bonds apart by loss. I notice how we are paying billions to create nuclear weapons when those billions could be saving lives. I notice how many people are forced to flee their homes just to be turned back to a place that has now disappeared under ashes of what it once used to be. I notice how my country, Palestine, alongside many other countries, are being neglected by the world. And yes, I notice how a ban has been put on a certain type of people because of the actions of a fraction. I notice how we are rewriting history. All that I've mentioned we can relate back to historical events. The Muslim ban, the Holocaust. Nuclear weapons, the arms race back in Second World War. Two different eras, but the exact same situation. Ironic? Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, and I have another. Let's break this cycle. This cycle that is constantly spinning. Instead of making wars, let's make scientific breakthroughs. Instead of paying to protect ourselves, pay to better ourselves. Instead of spreading hate, spread education, spread love, spread health. Instead of hearing that your baby cousins have been killed in an airstrike in Gaza, give them the gift of life that they rightfully deserve. This is all just a bunch of words, but words that I proudly say. I will not be silenced by what we've accepted to be reality. And I don't care if I'm remembered as the girl who could or even as the girl who couldn't, but at least I'll be the girl who tried. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream, and this is mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. You have my prayers for your dream to come true.
Next up is Ayush Jaitley with a speech titled Overlooked.
Yeah, you said it right. Okay.
Wasn't history just an irrelevant school subject? Why not put it to the side with all the other relevant things in the world? Well, history is being made every single day, right from questionable political decisions to scientific and technical breakthroughs. Sorry. Let's take a look at some of the big names in history. Adolf Hitler, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Pele, Elvis Presley. The list goes on, with people from various different backgrounds and various different fields. And what about modern historical figures? This can include social activists, artists, politicians, people from all over the world, from various different fields. But in the end, it all comes down to what history is to you. We're all from different parts of the world, and we all have different interests. For example, music. I have a slightly specific taste in music. I enjoy rap music. but many don't, mainly due because they think it's a bad thing, mainly due to the explicit lyricism and violent connotations to it in the past. But what many overlook are the social and political connections rap has made to the world in the past. I'm sure you've all heard of Tupac Shakur. If not, here's a little introduction for you. He was a rapper, actor, and poet, mainly active in the 90s during the gangster rap era, during which he also died. And what Tupac did was, he made this song called Keep Your Head Up, which was, and still is, a feminist anthem for women all over the world. But wait, didn't rappers just talk about drugs and money, and the only time they ever spoke about women was when they looked at them as sex objects? Well, maybe these lyrics will change your mind. You know what makes me unhappy? When brothers make a baby and leave a young mother to be a pappy. And since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and our game from a woman, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women. Do we hate our women? What Tupac did was he went against the norm. He did what rappers at his time didn't really look at doing, and he wrote his name down in history with this. But when it comes to rap, it doesn't just stop at Tupac either. When the NWA started a complete riot against the police in the late 80s in LA, they wrote their name down in history. When Eminem broke onto the rap scene with his whole controversial style of rap, he wrote his name down in history. When Kendrick Lamar was nominated for 11 Grammys on one night, just one short of the record set by Michael Jackson of 12 for Thriller, he wrote his name down in history. And yes, these men have done great things, that's for sure. But what about all the passive creators of history? When Adolf Hitler began his reign with Nazi Germany, he wrote his name down in history. But what about all the people that supported him and worked for him? What about all the people that said, no, I know what this guy's doing is wrong, I'm not going to support it? What about the millions he so mercilessly killed? Are they not a part of history? When Malcolm X started his civil rights movement in the 60s, he wrote his name down in history. But what about all the people that supported him and worked with him? What about the people who said, I don't like what this guy's doing and I don't like how he's thinking? Are they not a part of history? When Barack Obama was elected as the first African-American president of the United States of America, he wrote his name down in history. But what about the thousands who supported him and worked with him and fought with him? What about the people that said, no, I don't like what this guy's doing either? What about the one man who went up to check that his mic was working before all his rallies? And what about the person sitting halfway across the world voicing their support for him on social media? Are they not a part of history? Well, what tends to differentiate us, ordinary and average individuals, from these so-called significant individuals is one simple thing: opportunity. Someone else in Hitler's position could have persecuted a different race in society. Someone else in Malcolm X's position could have gone down a different route with their movement. And someone else in Obama's position could have started World War III if they wanted to. It all comes down to opportunity. And to be honest, we're all a part of history just by living in this ever-evolving world. So write my name down, along with all the other forgotten ones too, because even great men like Gandhi and Mandela wouldn't have made it anywhere without the support of the ordinary individuals in society. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayush. I'm hoping that makes a difference to everyone in the audience.
Our next speaker is Maria Najib with a speech titled Speak Up. So before I begin, I'd like to ask you all a quick question. What's the first thing we think about when we hear the word history? Well, the universal definition is along the lines of a study of past events in human affairs, meaning that us humans are the only element involved in this occurrence. We all know Malala, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and honestly, the list goes on forever. But how can we remember these names? Scientifically, the notion of memory is one of the most intriguing mental phenomenons. Fundamentally, it has a lot to do with who we are, our habits, our ideologies, our hopes and fears, as well as what we can accomplish and do in the future. Your brain unconsciously omits certain things from your memory if it believes they're of no importance. But because we distinctly remember every one of these names, means they've had a personal impact on every one of us. And the one similarity listed between all the names is that they all spoke their mind. You see, your mind plays tricks on you all the time. It tells you how to think, how to feel, and how to dream. It's when you start listening outwardly that you slowly die inside piece by piece. We let others dictate where our hearts go, and this is when this phrase comes in place: unity of thought and practice. This phrase has become very common in our society from the fear of being so-called odd. Anyone who believes in a world filled with unique and free individuals would find that phrase abhorrent. This is because us people have long held that the means and the ends are the same, that we can't get to where we want if we're doing things that are counter to where we want to be. A simplistic example of this would be shooting ourselves to a peaceful society. If every day we cry over war, we cry over poverty, and we mourn over innocent lives lost. And this is what many individuals strive to change throughout the years, which is what changed them from living in a community driven by governors into a community of their own, where freedom of speech is inevitable. Speaking your mind, voicing your opinion. That's the concept I'd like to set forth today. One that I've struggled with myself for many years, but came to the conclusion that it should be a vital part of every one of our personalities. It's what makes you different from the person next to you, from the people around you. It's what makes you entitled to your own beliefs. And simply, it's what makes you, you. A house of history isn't built on a foundation of sand. It's built on a foundation of rock. Solid voiced opinions expressed to the public which stimulate courage. Courage stimulates the need for change, and that's where it all begins. It's a cycle, you see, but it needs a starting point. You could be the starting point. Whether you agree, you disagree, you love, you hate, you accept, or you don't, speak up. But what type of history have we been making the past couple hundred years, and where is it all ending up? In a textbook, a history textbook to be precise. That's where all the historical figures that we learn in school and the ones that we remember end up, in a book, on a shelf, buried with dust. Is that where you want to end up? I certainly don't want to be written down in history. I want to be known to have changed lives. This is my key, and so, what's yours? Thank you.
I need it. Wait, I'll give it to you after I'm done. I need it.
That was very eye-opening. Thank you, Maria.
Now we bring to you Karenna Brown. Karenna chose to deliver her message to the song Mrs. Potato Head.
If you weren't born with it, you can buy a couple ornaments. Just be sure to read the warning, kids, 'cause pretty soon you'll be bored of it. Oh no, beautiful. Hey, you wanna feel beautiful? You can call a professional. They stick pins in you like a vegetable. Oh no, sorry, it's broken. Kids forever, kids forever. Baby soft skin turns into leather. Don't be dramatic, it's only some plastic. No one will love you, you're unattractive. Oh, Mr. Potato Head, tell me, is it true that pain is beauty? Does a new face come with a warranty? Will a pretty face make it better? Oh, Mr. Potato Head, tell me, how did you afford her surgery? Is it true you'll stay forever? Even if your face don't stay together, stay forever, stay forever. Even if your face don't stay together, stay forever, stay forever. Even if your face don't stay together. want a little more confidence. Potatoes turn to French fries, yeah, it's common sense. All you need is a couple more condiments and a couple $100 for some compliments. Oh no, it's such a waste when pretty girls turn into their mother's face. But little girls are learning how to cut and paste and pucker up their lips until they suffocate. Oh no, kids forever, kids forever. Baby soft skin turns into leather. Dramatic, it's only some plastic. No one will love you if you're unattractive. Oh, Mrs. Potato Head, tell me, is it true that pain is beauty? Does a new face come with a warranty? Will a pretty face make it better? Oh, Mrs. Potato Head, tell me, is it true that pain is beauty? Does a new face come with a warranty? Will a pretty face make it better?
Thank you, Karena, for that beautiful touch to the first half of the show.
The following performance is a speech titled Assault on Our Children by Minyoung Choi.
I love you, Vanessa.
Hi, my name's Young, and I'm going to talk about a topic that most of you are quite unaware about. I'm going to talk about the assault upon our children, especially in South Korea. Now, I'd like to ask how many people in this room either study or teach the IBDP? Well, nearly all, right? Well, the IBDP is actually considered one of the most difficult high school programs in the world. It has a well-rounded exam-based system and it encourages the students to synthesize knowledge among many other important aspects. It's even acknowledged by universities all around the world. So the pressure and the stress that the IB students must go through is incomparable, right? Yet why is it that whenever I meet my friends that either study or live in Korea, they always say, oh, you're so lucky that you study the IB, or oh, it must be so easy compared to what we do in Korea. Well, South Korea is actually one of the highest performing countries in reading literacy, math, and sciences, and has one of the highest educated labor forces in the world. In simpler words, South Korea is obsessed with its national education. Educational success just means socioeconomic status in South Korea. Graduating from a top university is the ultimate mark of high status, and this is what many parents dream for their children. Soon, the parents' dreams become the children's dreams due to social pressure. Many students depend upon hours and hours laboring away and suffering. But this seems normal, right? Work hard in order to achieve what you desire, and in the end, feel true happiness and reap all the benefits. Many countries in the world look to South Korea as a model for education because of this success. Korean students just rank among the best in international tests. Yet there's a dark side to this education system that many people should realize. This education system, which is dominated by overbearing authoritarian parents, yields multitudes of overachieving students that pay such a harsh price in health and happiness. Many students go to after-school classes or academies known as hagwons, in which they study and labor away until midnight, and they barely get around 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. This obviously has a huge toll on the students' mental well-being, leading to 53% of suicidal teenagers, more than half, saying that bad academic performance is one of the main reasons for such thoughts. Now, the whole point of all these rambling facts is to show you and to implore you to be aware of how much these students suffer. Korean students and parents are too blinded by the social success that high grades and top universities can bring you. They fail to see how much these students suffer due to the mental abuse and insist upon such myopic and strict education systems. Instead, this education system should be changed, and the happiness of the children and the future of a country should be put first and foremost. Korea should be remembered as a nation in which their citizens and their happiness are prioritized. So it's time that this old age feudal system ceases to exist, and the country reflects upon what its most vulnerable yet equally important citizens might actually want themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Min Young.
Next up, a small girl with a powerful voice. We will now present to you Abigail with her speech titled Paving Our Own Pavement.
As I whisk down the short pleated marble tiled stairs, I carefully step. Careful not to interrupt the conversations of those elder. Sorry. Okay. I step, head held low, I step ever so carefully. I enter the cold kitchen void barefoot and alone. I step, step ever so eerily, ever so frailly, ever so frightfully, I step. I open the fridge to be welcomed by a certain burst of cool air, only to be startled by the sounds of my cousins walking, arms interlocked, their laughter rings in my ears. The older one peers over my shoulder and mumbles, seems like there isn't much to eat. Abigail, would you mind cooking me up something? At a simple inquiry, I sharply reply, why would I ever do that for you? But only in my head, and calmly ponder, why don't you try making a turkey sandwich on your own for once? At this simple inquiry, he sharply replies, why would I ever do that for you? He sharply replies, oh, I thought it would just be poor practice for you for when you become a housewife someday, and slaps the hand of his brother with a grin, only to leave the mark of his slap stinging my face, scarring me in rage. My face tainted by the humiliating scar now swelling. I reply, the act of describing me by my appearance is not unheard of, but in fact is the absence of love. Your words taint me in the aspects of determinal judge. Be shameful if you don't adhere to me, otherwise I promise to hold a grudge. As you may or may not know, my name means the presence of light. So let me shine my light in the path of your fright. You fear I will outdo you, outshine you in the work you hold dear. We fear the same judgment by the elders sat near. This prejudicial judgment is a game we all play, at home, at school, in the littlest of ways. Take the benefit of my doubt, but may I ask you, exactly how many have you classified into your own verdict today? Maybe 1 or 2, 3, 4. Oh, you can continue to count more? What about that girl you showed no interest in 4? 5, 6 continues the list of more and more names of people you've dissed. You call me weak and frail because I am small. Maybe my frame isn't the size of my African sister's natural size and call. I may not be built the same as the rest, no prolonged loud tones or D-cup chest. It isn't these remarks that I have to progress, but the labels we have on those who wish to be their own person, nothing less. Those who influence us to do good stop us short from our dreams. Have they themselves experienced this? It seems. All young men, no woman to look up to. No woman to be accredited in academics or virtue. The question of fear nibbles in the back of my head as a pest. Will I be the first to fail amongst the rest? And if so, I think, what will my fate be? Will I turn out to be a mother of 3? Will I turn out to be just what my cousin said to me? For a second, I calm down. Eyes forward, I stare into the eyes of he. He that mocked me, insulted me, shook my already shaken me. I see on his face planted a sly grin smug, knowing that these words I think of must never escape my tongue, hanging the dreams of them ever being sung. For you see, the ending always stays the same. A woman must never talk back unless she is insane. And whenever time comes to speak of her doubt, she's shut down, blown out, misjudged, and told off for heading down the wrong route. And although we think of it as just a game, Maya Angelou also spoke out that we are the same. We deserve not to be justified by an unjustified statement, but to be justified on the way that we pave our pavements. So as a student, I stand here and ponder, what have we reduced ourselves to? I wonder. And although I know I may never be able to speak out again on this cause, I ask you to pause before judging on flaws.
Well, thank you very much, Abigail. And on that note, I'd like to announce the first and only break of tonight's event. After a good 20 minutes, we hope that you return to your seats for the second half of this event to take place.
Please help yourself and enjoy the great food provided by Wafi Gourmet and Operation Falafel.
Hello there. We hope you were pleased by our sponsors and that you were refreshed by our refreshments and fooded by our foods.
I don't really think it works that way, Elliot. Don't you take HL English anyway?
That's besides the point. We are your hosts for the second half of Emirates International Schools Jumeirah's event TEDx. My name is Elliot.
And I'm Abdurrahman, and hopefully you've enjoyed the first half of the speeches that were performed by our significant, absolutely amazing performers. But now, I bet you're going to have more fun in the second half.
But let's not take any longer, and let's get right into the action with our first talker of the second half. Abdul, would you please do the honors?
For sure. Give it up to 15-year-old Noor and her speech, A Letter of Life.
Dear the human race, can someone please explain to me why I, along with everyone else, have an innate need to have our names remembered? Why is it that we've convinced ourselves that in order to succeed, we have to work ourselves to the bone? And why is it that we can spend our whole lives doing grand gestures and not a single one of our names will be remembered? Now, every single one of these questions are valid, but not a single one of them have an answer. And the reason for that is because all of these questions come from society's expectations. And frankly, these expectations are impossible for us to meet. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering, where am I going with all of this? It seems like I'm saying every action we've ever done is pointless. But I assure you that's not what I'm saying. In fact, I'm saying the exact opposite. Every single one of our actions, the small good actions, the big terrible mistakes we've done, every single one of them have an impact. In fact, our smallest of actions, the ones that seem insignificant, are the ones that have the greatest of impacts. A simple example of this is how we go about our daily lives. If you go about your daily life with a positive attitude and not giving up, no matter what happens, you'll be able to succeed, to progress. If instead you spend your days with a negative attitude and giving up at every wrong turn, you won't be able to go very far. Now, this is a good example, but it doesn't explain why either of us have to change. So I won't waste any of our time, and I'll cut right to the chase. The reason why we need to change our way of thinking is because it's our duty. We are the ones who are walking down this path. We are the ones who can change it. But let's stop for a moment. This path isn't just for us. This path that we're walking on, the one that's leading towards our destruction, is built on the people who've come from the past. And when you look at these people from the past, these significant people, it's actually quite scary, the legacy that they've left. Because most of them are remembered because they participated in a war, in the destruction of half a culture. And that is something I refuse to stand for, which is why I'm standing before you all today, despite the fact I am only one person against 7.12 billion people. I have the courage to ask you guys to change. Now, I didn't get this courage on my own. I got it because of my friends and my family and everyone who's been encouraging me to do this. So just like I didn't do this on my own, neither do you. When I ask you to change, I'm not asking you to change your whole community. All I want you to do is stop for a moment and look at what good you have, because that is the first step you take to changing your way of thinking. Because once you look at what good you have, you start wanting to preserve it. And once you preserve something, you start changing yourself so that it can become better, so there's more of it. And so let's all stop for a moment. Stop looking for fame and chasing after it, and let's change our way of thinking. Humbly, a woman from the masses.
Absolutely sublime. But, I was sitting out backstage and I was thinking to myself, right? I usually hang out with my friends and my family and we talk about things in life, but not really about life itself. I guess it takes a lot of courage,
It does indeed. I think you should really sit down and think about life as well.
Okay.
No, not now. We still have a show to do, we still have upcoming performers.
Yes, we have next Zain Asif and his speech, Puppets of Society.
Puppets of society. That's what we've become. Each day, we wake up. Same time, same place, taking the same path, to live the same day as yesterday. We cannot be written down in history if we are still traveling back in time. Humanity is taking 2 steps forwards through technology and innovation. But despite this, our lack of knowledge, our lack of awareness, our lack of curiosity are the reasons that we are also moving 3 steps backwards. 2 steps forwards, yet 3 steps backwards. Is that really the pathway that we want to take? Why is it that as we grow older, we ask fewer questions? Well, the only reason for that is because we're too afraid of the answers, the truth that they will show, and the change that this truth can cause. You see, society has now begun to develop a fear of change. We've become so prone to routine and monotony that we fail to see the damage it causes to humanity. For example, let's look at education. As soon as we step foot in a school, society traps us behind a desk and expects us to learn everything about the world through a 5-inch thick textbook. Then, it expects us to learn to think outside the box. Now tell me, how are we supposed to learn to think out of the box when we've been trapped in a box all our lives? A box called the classroom. Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon to create change. Well, right now, I disagree with that, because we can't make change, not like this, not with the ways of education used today. The definition for intelligence is the ability to apply knowledge and skills. Now, everyone is different, and everyone has their own unique way to apply their knowledge and skills. So why does every single student have to take the exact same test to determine their intelligence? Why have we limited our ideas, our imagination, our potential to a piece of paper? And why has no one done something about this? Well, I can answer all 3 of those questions in a single word. We've survived because we are one. One world, one race, one people. The planet's been here for billions of years, and it's going to be here for much longer. But the truth is, we don't have much long. The maximum each of us has got is around 70 to 80 years. So let's use it. Our generation is just a streak of time compared to the life of our universe, but the impact we create will last forever. Life is an open book. You write it as you go. Now, whoever said that was right, but they were also wrong, because the fact is that you don't write it, I don't write it, we do. Humanity does.
You know, thank you very much, Zain, for that wonderful speech. But I was thinking backstage,
I mean, we are backstage. How come you're spending so much time backstage? I mean,
shut up! I spend a lot of time on my own thinking. Anyways, so I was thinking about the diversity that come from within our speeches. Like, for example, where are you from, Elliot?
Oh, I'm from Sweden.
Sorry?
I'm from Sweden.
No, I heard you, but I'm just sorry.
Okay, well, we'll stop the jokes now, because we have an amazing performance up next. We have Aya Saleh with her speech, Change Through Controversy. Please give it up for Aya.
Can you please raise your hand if you're from Libya, Yemen, Syria, Somalia, Sudan, Iran, or Iraq? Under the Trump administration, you would have been banned from entering America. And now you sigh and you lean back into your seat. She's about to rant about Trump. But relax, this isn't a problem with the president. It's a problem with the people. Now, if you're going to think to yourself, oh, but this doesn't affect me. Except it does. Through social media, it has become so easy for us to connect with one another. And with that, it is also so easy to leave hurtful messages. Now, people tend to avoid talking about what's going on in America right now because it's controversial, and so they would much rather stay quiet than cause a fight. But now isn't the time to stay quiet. It's the time to be controversial. It seems that every few decades or so, we find a new group of people to discriminate against. The Jews, the blacks, the Irish, the Japanese. Do you think that if people had stayed silent then, we would have been able to destigmatize society's perception of these ethnic groups? People had to be controversial then as they do now. And when we look back at our history, we see that the way we have moved forward is through controversy. For example, let's look at the civil rights movement. Do you think that it was widely accepted by everyone? It was controversial, but it worked. And yet we forget these things. We forget our past. We forget our history. We sit in skyscrapers and forget the ground that they were built upon. We forget what those who came before us had to do to get us to where we are. And each time we continue to make the same mistakes and we continue to discriminate. Now, for those of you who would much rather be silent and remain neutral than speak up about controversial topics, let me remind you, as Dante once said, the darkest places in hell are reserved for those who maintain their neutrality in times of moral crisis. And we are in a time of moral crisis. So I urge you, engage in discussion, create debate, speak up about controversial topics, because that's how we accomplish change. We accomplish change through controversy. Thank you.
We'll share a mic for this part. Okay. You know, I don't get it.
You don't get what? The speech? Well, you know, look.
No, I understood the speech. I just don't understand how these students can be so courageous and confident about spreading their ideas in this speech form and that's at this type of event.
Yeah, I know. Well, then you're going to be amazed by our next performer. Here's Hanya Lone and her speech, Becoming Unerasable.
There are two types of people in this world, the whiteboard markers and the permanent markers. Now, the whiteboard markers, they tend to be forgotten or their words are rubbed off, whereas the permanent markers make bold statements and their words are remembered forever. I aspire to be like a permanent marker, leaving an everlasting imprint. I mean, do we really just want to walk off this earth without having made a difference? Think about it. How sad would it be if no one were to recall your name or even felt inspired by you? Especially as teenagers, we feel that we can do the whole making a difference thing when we're older. So my question to you is, why can't we start now? Why can't we make an impact today? I'm not asking us to change the world or anything, but can't we do something to improve the life of one person or one family? And as the saying goes, drops of water make an ocean. So let's become those drops of water to one day make an ocean of a difference. We have so many great examples of young people to follow. For instance, let's take a look at Malala Yousafzai. She was just a child when she started to help young women in her small town in Pakistan get involved in female education. She was surrounded by an extremely conservative, male-dominated society, but still she was fearless. So much so that one morning when she was going to school in a school bus, extremists barged into the bus that she was going to school in and fatally shot her straight in the face. Now we all know this story because it has become a global phenomenon. But just imagine, if you took that extra step to do something about anything, you could become a global phenomenon. You could be the ones that our children read in their textbooks, and you could be the ones for our world to continue living on. If each one of us, or even just a few of us, decide to make a change in society, the difference that we can collectively make will be so huge. It'll spread like wildfire. We can get involved in various charity walks. We can donate our used clothing to people who don't even have any. We can even replace our plastic household items with ones that are biodegradable. As you can see, the ways in which we can help our world are endless. It just takes that small push of willpower to do so. According to the United Nations High Commissions for Refugees, violence has forced over 60 million people from their homes. Now that I've said that, take a moment to think. How many of those 60 million people did you help? How many of those 60 million people were impacted by your actions? And if your answer was 0, then how do you feel? You may be feeling a little bit sad or even a little bit embarrassed, but that just shows that you do truly care. Every single person in this room has the drive to do good. It's human nature, we're born with it. Where we go wrong is when we don't do anything with that drive. For me, this speech is even a form of me making a difference, because I could have been sitting at home complaining about the piles of homework I had to do, but instead I took my drive and I chose to be here, discussing an important topic to hopefully spread a message and inspire others. Nearly 1 billion people entering the 21st century didn't know how to read or even write their own names. 2.2 million children die annually because they aren't immunized. Lastly, 121 million children don't have access to education at this very moment. Now, this may sound like a bunch of facts and statistics that you should be feeling sympathetic for, but we need to take that sympathy and turn it into action, and that action into progression, and use that progression as a blank space to write down our names. No one is going to write us down in history for us. It is our job to pick up the pen and do that for ourselves. Malala's pen was her activism for girls' education. Now it is up to you to find your pen. Thank you very much.
Well, another amazing performance by another amazing performer. But I believe there's much better for you yet to experience. Don't you think, Elliot? Elliot? Elliot?
Sorry about that, sorry. I was just stunned by Hanya's speech. But
Well-
you're right. We have an amazing performer up next. Please, you introduce him.
That's right. We have Joseph Khoury, and he's going to present his speech in the form of a song called Art is Dead by the renowned comedian Bo Burnham. Please give him a round of applause.
Art is dead, art is dead, art is dead, art is dead. Entertainers like to seem complicated, but we're not complicated. I can explain it pretty easily. Have you ever been to a birthday party for children, and one of the children won't stop screaming because he's just a little attention attractor? When he grows up to be a comic or actor, he'll be rewarded for never maturing, for never understanding or learning that every day can't be about him. There's other people. You're not Andy Warhol. You must be psychotic. I must be demented to think that I'm worthy of all this attention, of all of this money you worked really hard for. I slept in late while you worked at the drugstore. My drug's attention. I am an addict, but I get paid to indulge in my habits. It's all an illusion. I'm wearing makeup. I'm wearing makeup, 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 makeup. art is dead. So people think you're funny. How do we get those people's money? I said art is dead. We're rolling in dough while Carlin rolls in his grave. His grave, his grave. The show has got a budget. It said the show has got a budget. And all of the poor people, way more deserving of the money, won't budget. 'Cause I wanted my name in lights when I could have fed a family of four for 40 goddamn fortnights. 40 goddamn fortnights. I am an artist, please God forgive me. I am an artist, please don't revere me. I am an artist, please don't respect me. I am an artist, feel free to correct me. A self-centered artist, self-obsessed artist. I am an artist, but I'm just a kid. I'm just a kid, I'm just a kid, and maybe I'll grow out of it.
What an amazing performance. I mean, it sort of encouraged me to do a bit of my own performance. So please bear with me. Okay, so up next, last act of the show. We gained a lot of knowledge and there's still stuff to know. Mohammed Mahmoud, rap form of a speech. He's coming out here because he's got a lot to teach. Please put your hands together for the last part. It's Mohammed Mahmoud coming straight from the heart.
Well, just in case you didn't understand that, because I didn't, my very best friend is coming out on stage. Please give him a round of applause. Mohammed Mahmoud and his poem, Tears in the Rain. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mohammed and I write poetry. This poem is the most meaningful poem to me. And I hope that you can take something away from this poem, learn something, or at least be reminded of something. So here it goes, Tears in the Rain by me. I have a duty as a human being to be seeing all the things that are going on behind the scenes. I dream that we live in a world where there's no terror and people aren't scared. I'd like to dream, just let me dream. The world is filled with fiends, powered by money and drugs. These criminal crooks and thugs don't make a difference. They'll be sinning, somehow winning, while these kids' bellies thinning. I'm wishing we can make a difference instead of wasting our living on materialism that could be used to benefit the poor instead. Food, water, just a piece of bread. I truly believe that we can make it better if we come together, because we have to do this for the people that are cold at night without a sweater. We have to do this for the people that are sticking with their families because they call that home and have no shelter. I finally realized that life's got me tested because I'm looking for the answer to this question, and it got me stressing. When I get the answer, will I know if it's the truth, or will it have me second guessing? I don't know, but I have to go find it. This contraption called society is broken, so I have to unwind it. The meaning to these words might get lost, so I gotta write it down, collect the pages and bind it. My vision is blurry, I have to stop crying. We have to care, we can't be scared. Just get up and help out, you don't have to be prepared. Send a message, start a lesson, take action instead of resting, because I feel rested, don't you? And I'm thankful to be in front of all of you. And I'm thankful for having the power of belief, believing that we can help out without a shed of doubt. So help the less fortunate with wisdom, with knowledge, with money, with food, with clothes, with kindness. That's something we lack nowadays, pure kindness, without motives. So many problems, one of them global warming. But I feel as if the times right now is at its coldest. I can't breathe, I can't speak. The horrible crimes being committed has me frozen. I know I might be being ambitious, but I feel chosen. The chosen one to tell you all that there is sunshine after these cold days. I'm trying to find the pleasure in the pain. And for the longest time, I thought it was pointless like tears in the rain. We lose touch with the finer things. People are misunderstood in the cues and talking about this actually a few bells ring. If they can't fly, let's be their wings. If they can't speak, let's give them a voice to sing. We've been through the valley of the shadow and death. We sailed the ship to Atlantis and found treasure in the depths. Life is the most precious gift, and I'm thankful for every breath. But I won't ever take it for granted. They try to humiliate us. They try to shoot us. They try to bomb us. They try to abandon us. But we see who's left standing. Thank you very much.
Well, right now we've reached the point where our event has come to an end. But before everybody rushes to the door, we would like to welcome our organizer and director, Yasmin Jabara, on stage. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to thank you all for coming, and I really wanted to thank my team. They've supported me so much through this. It's taken us 10 months to organize this event, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. I want to thank some of the teachers, Ms. Arif and Ms. Nib, who have helped me through this. The experience has been extremely amazing, though it has been very exhausting at times and tiring. All of our hard work and effort is clearly shown, and I'm very happy that I was able to have this experience with all of my classmates. So I just want to thank them all, and I want to thank our sponsors, especially Conan, for supporting us through this, and Abdurrahman Azmi. He's been the office manager and the host, and he's helped me so much through this, and the rest of my best friends and everyone. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, everybody, and good night.
The end is near, and so I face the final curse.